Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today as always. Before we begin, smash that like button and subscribe. Welcome to my new subscribers. And today's topic, yes, the weather in St. Louis is warm and sunny. Looks like it's going to be a hot day today, but not as hot as it was last week. Hope it's great wherever you are in the world. Today's topic is going to be, how about purity? Purity. What do I mean by purity? Well, maybe that's not the best word I can use, but I read a post from Modern Life Dating. You might want to check that out. It's pretty good. He's kind of rough, but he tells it like it is. That said, women lose 90% of their eggs by the time they're 30 years old. Okay, why do I bring that up? Because mainstream media tells women that they can have it all. Well, none of us can have it all. I mean, you can have everything you want, I believe. But you have limits. Obviously, if you're 70 years old, you're not going to be an NBA ball player. If you wanted to do that, you needed to try to do that when you were young, or to accomplish that when you were young. Same way with women. If you want to have kids, you need to do it during the best years that are provided to you for that, which are between the ages of, I know you're going to be shocked, 15 and 25. Now, in our country, in the U.S., of course, the age of consent is 18. But the age of consent has little to do with Mother Nature and how God made women, okay? In a lot of countries, the age of consent is much lower. But let's say here in the U.S., if you're going to have children between the ages of 18 and 25 is the best time to do that for health reasons and just for conception reasons. You can read the stats on it. Look it up yourself if you don't believe me. But what happens is, I have a 14-year-old daughter. Now, of course, I don't want her having a child yet, but I tell her, you need to protect your, protect your status, your reputation, because you want to get a high-value man. Obviously, I want her to marry a man who can provide for her and her children should she decide to get married. And most women do want to have children. Nowadays, it seems to be okay for a woman to have 2 or 3 kids by 2 or 3 different fathers and go down to the welfare office and sign up for government aid. In my day, that was considered kind of shameful. Even a divorced woman in my day was kind of considered a little bit shameful. But that's another topic. The point I'm making is here, if you have a daughter, you need to speak to her. If you're a father and you have a daughter, you need to talk to her about these things. You need to tell her that she needs to value her virginity. And if she's not a virgin, you at least need to tell her to value her body and herself. Not to be sleeping around with a bunch of guys. My 14-year-old daughter has friends or associates or classmates, whatever you want to call them, that have been with multiple double-digit numbers of boys. Now, these girls, most of them don't have a father, or they don't have a father in the house that takes on the masculine role. Every boy that my daughter goes out with or likes her or wants to come over and meet her or be with her or court her or whatever you want to call it, spend time with her, I meet them and I tell them how things are. I tell them that I was once just like them and I know how young boys are and I know what they want. I shake their hand and I tell them, if you guys are together out at the park or something, it's up to you to protect my daughter. That's your responsibility. If anything happens to her, you're responsible for that. Now, I remember back when I was young, and if a girl had a father, an active father in her life, I treated her much differently. There were actually girls back then that I did not sleep with because I had respect for their father, or fear, whichever you want to call it. So as a father, you need to talk to your daughter. You need to know that she needs to know that you are concerned about her welfare. Now, if you don't tell her these things and she grows up to be everybody's girl, you have no one to blame but yourself. But at least if you tell her and she goes out and is very promiscuous, at least you did your job as a father. And that's your job as a father, to protect your wife, your children. And protection doesn't necessarily only mean protecting them from physical threat or whatever happens to come your way. It means teaching and instructing your children. I have boys. I teach and instruct them to vet their girls properly, to be careful about who they go out with. Because of this Me Too law and different things like that nowadays, you need to be careful who you're going out with. If one of my sons is with a girl that had a lot of trouble with her past boyfriend, maybe she filed an ex parte against him or something like that, my advice to him would be to stay away from that girl, because you may be the next ex-boyfriend who treated her badly, if he did, the ex-boyfriend. So, but back to my daughter and the fertility and the eggs and everything. I want my daughter to have a good life. Of course, I want her to have it all, or to have as much as she can. I want her to have enough that she's happy and fulfilled, which is what I wish for everyone. If everyone were happy and fulfilled, wouldn't the world be a better place? But it's because of the lack of happiness and fulfillment that people try to grab things, or to take things, or to manipulate things out of other people. Because they just don't know that the happiness and fulfillment does not come from having it all, from having this car, this big house, this money. These things are important and are necessary in life, but these things do not bring the fulfillment that being a good mother does, that being a good father does, that doing your part to serve humanity here in this life and this world does. But as young people grow up and they have no one to teach them these things, how are they going to know? And as parents, it's our job to do that. I had parents, but back in my day, they didn't teach certain things. But I tell you what they did do, they taught by example. They taught me a good work ethic. Mom and Dad, and they stayed together. They had some rough times, but they stayed together. They taught me the value of commitment, the value of getting up every day and going to work, whether you felt like it or not, working hard, investing, saving, and being responsible and persistent and persevering. Okay, I learned that not so much by what they told me, but by what they showed me. More truth is caught than taught. So obviously, if you're a woman and you're promiscuous and you're running around your husband, it's going to be hard to teach your daughter to be monogamous or to not sleep around with a bunch of men. And as a father, if you're going out to the bar drinking every night, how are you going to expect your daughter to get a man who is stable, consistent, and worthy as far as that goes? You have to be what you're teaching, or what you say doesn't carry much weight. All these things are important. Your children are looking to you for guidance. And if you don't guide them and you don't show them this guidance or teach them, they'll find somebody else who's going to teach them probably what you don't want them to learn. Because they're going to look somewhere for guidance, for leadership, for some type of an example. So be that example for your children. You want your daughter to be happy, I know you do, and you want your boys to be happy, just like me. I think that's one of the most important things for a parent. They just want their kids to be happy, whatever that takes. But first, you have to be happy. Obviously, you can't transmit something you haven't got. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have times of sadness. That's part of life. There are ups and downs. Like the heart monitor, it's always going up and down, up and down. Okay, if that baby's flatlined, you're a dead man or a woman. So life is like that. But in general, you want to have a life of happiness and fulfillment, and be that example for your children. And they will know how to do that, or how to follow that example, or they will learn from watching you, how you get through the hard times, how you enjoy the good times, how your life is fulfilled, how you get fulfillment even from the difficult at times in your life when things don't seem to go your way, how you handle crisis situations. These are all important things for your kids to see. Okay, so that's all I got time for today. Thank you for joining me. Smash that like button. Just reach up there and tap it. And I will see you tomorrow.